Video is talking about the Education 730 lesson plan assignment, which is really it's kind of a misnomer in some respects. It's actually more of a lesson reflection activity. But the idea is for you to take something that you've already done, and in this case, because this course has folks that are administrators, higher education professors, we have folks who are second grade teachers, we have educational technology specialists, we have curriculum specialists, we have guidance counselors. I've had OSHA trainers, I've had people that worked in the military, I've had people that are business marketing people, I've had business intelligence people. So we have a myriad of individuals. So if you're a principal, don't make a lesson plan geared towards kindergartners. Instead, make a lesson plan on training your teachers and have some professional development activity. If you are a person in the business world, come up with some sort of project-based thing. That's fine. Whatever the quote-unquote lesson is, for me, it just has to have some basic elements in it, and then you have to do this reflection bit that I'm going to be talking about in a second. So that said, hopefully that gives you a frame for thinking about this. This is really meant to be an overall way of taking something you've already done, some sort of lesson, instructional bit, something, and then start thinking about how you can use a new piece of technology or a new way of doing things as part of the instructional plan. That's it. So if you've already done a second grade lesson on addition and subtraction with two digits, and you want to rethink that particular lesson with doing something new that we've talked about in class or something you've discovered in your research, whatever it might be, or something you picked up from a friend or somebody you just met in class or whatever, that's all I'm asking you to do. So I do provide in this document, which you see before you, a kind of a standard lesson plan format. You do not need to use this format. You do not have to go into a massive amount of detail. But I need to know enough about what you're talking about to judge it. I just don't have to have the script. I don't have to hear every single word that you give in this lesson. So instead of saying teacher says this, student says this, teacher says this, student says this, you might say discussion points for class discussion involve the following five things, and then we move on to the next thing or whatever it is. Just give me a general idea. So I have here's what the rubric really asks for, and this people leave some of these things out because they think you just have to give a standard lesson. You don't. They're connected with standards where appropriate. If you are a person in higher education, you're in nursing education, for example, there may not be educational standards regarding nursing in that respect. I'm sure there are nursing standards, but not necessarily in the education of students with nursing. So if there is no nursing standards or if there are no standards associated with your field, you put not applicable, and that's fine. You get a freebie on that one. Diversity considered. This is where you start talking about the students you're teaching and how it influences you. The third one is technology choice. This is where you can come up with something creative. Don't just use PowerPoint. Don't just we use Microsoft Word. Don't even just we looked at a YouTube video. Try to come up with something that's going to stretch you a little bit. Do something interesting and different for yourself in technology choice because that really can help to meet the student needs. The fourth one is risk analysis. I want you to start thinking about the human and logistical factors that could impact the success of this particular lesson plan's execution. So if you're asking your students to create lobsters and they've never done it before, or if they don't have access to equipment to be able to do it properly, that's a risk factor. You need to consider that. If they are shying away from those types of things, you need to include that as a risk factor. So you're just basically going through and you're saying, these are the things that I think could go wrong, and here's how I'm going to mitigate that risk. I'm going to make sure I have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, E, F, and G, whatever, however many you need in order to make sure you're ready for it. The last one is assessment. Talk about any diagnostic, formative, and summative procedures in order to evaluate the student's ability to be successful. Maybe this is part of your risk assessment, is to do a diagnostic on the student's ability to perform whatever it is you want them to do, and then talk about how appropriate you've used technology in those particular assessments, and all that is in there as well. So you can see that this is really more of a reflection. It's not a full paper. It's not a lesson plan that's going to have every single detail. It could be just a couple of pages long. It's not a 15 or 20 page thing. I just want you to take something you've already done and kind of re-envision it. If you already have a format for your school district, then don't shove it into mine. Just use yours, but make sure it includes what I've asked you to include in the rubric. Okay, hope that clears it up. Thanks.